see it now. Still no. Awesome. Okay. Hi, it's me, Corey, and welcome to my channel. This is a what I eat in a week. It is a little different this week because you will see next week that I realized I lost a lot of footage during this beautiful Mercury retrograde we're in. Oh man, it's just been mishap after mishap. But I lost a bunch of footage. I realized it when I was recording for next week's What I Eat in a Week, and I was actually getting ready to post this week's, and I realized I lost this footage too. The good thing is I still have all of my cooking footage, but I already recorded kind of like my voiceover. All of that is gone, so I still have all of the food footage, which is great, and I can still show you that, and I'll just re-record what I already explained, and we're gonna get through this Mercury retrograde together. Okay, it's super bright, so I'm trying to figure out what the best kind of lighting situation is. So sorry if it looks kind of crazy, but hopefully you guys still get all the information. Last week I said I was going to show you what my cart looks like and how I kind of create my grocery list. So I'm going to start with that, and then we're going to jump into what I eat in a week. If you just want to see that, I do have the timestamp below, so you can hop straight to that if you'd like. If not, and the first thing I want to show you is how I make my grocery list. The way I separate my grocery list is into quadrants. So I have the top quadrant is week 1, so it's meal 1 and meal 2, and then the bottom half is week 2, and it's meal 1 and meal 2 for week 2. And then usually I do put my snacks in the middle. For some reason, I just got fancy and drew a cross in the middle of this one. I usually don't do that though. So my snacks are at the top, and next to my snacks are the foods that I'm going to eat that weekend. So usually at the top is just my weekend food, and then my snacks are in the middle, and when I show you my cart, you will see why. But so for my grocery list, I write down the title of the meals that I'm eating, so it's a menu and my grocery list, just in case, like, sometimes I'll put on my list, like, a roasted vegetable, and I'll figure out when I get to the store if I'm going to do like broccoli or Brussels sprouts or whatever. So having the full menu will help me if I'm like having roasted broccoli for another meal. I know not to get roasted broccoli as my vegetable for the meal that I didn't decide what I'm getting or what I'm going to eat. And then under it is only the things I need to get from the grocery store. I shop in my pantry and in my fridge before I go to the store, and oftentimes that's how I kind of get the inspiration for my meals, is, well, I need to eat this up, or I have a bunch of this left over. So it's only when I start, like, my pantry and my refrigerator start to dwindle is when I'm like going on YouTube and Instagram and some of my favorite food bloggers to see or to get inspiration and get ideas for what I should make. So that's kind of how it's laid out. The first 2 meals are what I already showed you last week. So that's the crispy curry wontons is meal 1, and then the tofu nuggets is meal 2 on this list. And then below here is what I'm going to show you this week, and that is, I think the first one, the first one is tofu egg Sammies. Sandwiches, Sammies, whatever. I think I got this recipe from Hot for Food, and she calls them tofu Sammies, so I call them tofu Sammies, and it's just a cute name for a sandwich. So it's not like it's like the tofu egg. It's like a tofu fried egg, not like tofu scramble. So I'll show you what it looks like when we get into the what I eat portion. But that was meal 1, and then kind of actually going back to the side for this, I wanted sauteed spinach. I thought I wanted sauteed spinach on my sandwich, and then I realized I needed butternut squash for my crispy curry wontons from last week, but I wasn't going to eat the whole butternut squash for that. I only needed like a cup, so I figured I could freeze it, and that could actually be my side for this, and I decided to have butternut squash with sauteed spinach as my side to my tofu Sammies. So that's how you can kind of like pick and piece your meals together, and you know, one ingredient worked for 2 weeks worth of meals, stuff like that. Meal 2 for this week is mushroom stroganoff, and this was actually also inspired by the crispy curry wontons because I wasn't going to use a whole pack of mushrooms. I didn't use even half of it for the curry wontons, so I was like, what can I use that's like or what can I make with like most of a box or most of a package of mushrooms. I haven't had mushroom stroganoff in forever, but I do remember liking it when I had it. So I went with that and I looked up a million different recipes. So the one linked below is the one I followed the closest, but you'll see even that one I didn't follow to a T. I did some of my own tweaks on it. I want to show you my cart because that's going to help you see like kind of why I lay things out the way I lay them out. So this is my Walmart cart. I shop at Aldi's first and then go to Walmart, but I wanted to show you this because my snack for this week is popcorn, and so that's why it's in the middle. Like you see, I literally portion out my cart so that each meal is in a quarter or a quadrant of the cart. My snacks are in the middle, and then whatever I need for the weekend is up on the like where like the baby sits in the cart. So I literally like portion out my cart the way I portion out my grocery list just to make sure I'm staying on track and not throwing a bunch of random things into my cart, and also making sure that I'm getting each piece of the recipe that I need. I got popcorn for my snack this week. I did not go there for movie theater popcorn. I went there they have this sea salt popcorn that I like. Or they had it in my old state. The state I'm in now, they didn't have it. So I got this movie theater popcorn and it was really good, but it felt definitely like more like a pleasure snack than like a post-workout snack. And that's usually what I plan for. I usually plan my snacks around like either pre or post-workout, like something that's like fueling, energizing, like not super heavy. This was pretty greasy, but it was really good. And then this was my Aldi's cart. So I have bananas in the middle here because last week I tried to make banana oat pancakes. I'll put it up here. Please check that video out. It was such a fail, but that was also probably Mercury retrograde creeping in. Lord. So you can see how things are kind of portioned out here too. In this corner with the almond milk, that was stuff for my tofu Sammies. I have wheat bread, I have my spinach, I have my garlic. In the other corner is what I was making. I do think it's a little jumbled here. I think I have my weeks a little jumbled here, but the quinoa and the hummus was for my Mediterranean quinoa that I made last week. I didn't actually end up putting the hummus in there, so you didn't see that in last week's, but I did make the quinoa. The mushrooms I'm thinking for the mushroom stroganoff, and the carrots I'm thinking were for the crispy curry wontons. And then up there in the cart, I believe this was Father's Day weekend. Yeah, I think it was Juneteenth and Father's Day weekend. So in this top portion I have, or I keep pointing at my computer, in this top portion I have some burgers, some vegetarian burgers, because my dad wanted to have grilled chicken. I think my sister was throwing some burgers on the grill for her. So I also wanted to have grilled food and be like a part of the fun, but I'm the only vegetarian in my family. So I just grabbed some burgers for them to throw on the grill for me too. And then some eggs and some tortillas. I do real, like if you think I eat basic during the week, I eat real basic on the weekends. So it's usually stuff that takes just a couple of minutes to put together. So eggs, cheese, and some tortillas. I had breakfast tacos that weekend. But yeah, I don't actually enjoy cooking. So especially on the weekend, I try to find things that are pretty quick, pasta in a jar of marinara, things like that, because dicing and chopping and doing all that stuff on my weekend, no thank you. I hope that explains kind of how I shop and how I think. I have a much longer video on how I actually come up with my recipes and how I plan my weeks out. So I have that linked up here and in the description box if you want to check that out. So for my mushroom stroganoff, that's what we're starting with today. Like I said, I combined a bunch of different recipes, so this part of the recipe isn't in the recipe that I linked below. I really wanted to try a vegan sour cream. I wanted to try to make a vegan sour cream because I also think sour cream is what's most traditionally used in beef stroganoff. So I wanted to try to make my own, and I saw this recipe that is also linked below on how to make your own vegan sour cream out of vegan yogurt. So for the sour cream, I took that individual serving of plant-based yogurt and I put it in a strainer that was lined with a paper towel, and I put that strainer over a bowl to like remove all of the liquid from the yogurt and make it a little thicker. And it was actually quite a bit of liquid that came out, sitting for maybe like 5 hours while I was meal prepping some other stuff. All the water was strained out. It was really cool. You can see it's like moves in one piece. It was really cool. So after that, I just added some lemon. If you were going to eat this like on a taco, you can also add like some salt and pepper, maybe some garlic powder, just to give it a little bit more flavor. But I was putting this into something that was going to have a bunch of different ingredients in it anyway, so I just went with the lemon to make it sour. I used about half a lemon, scooped it, mixed it all together. It was the consistency of sour cream. This was really impressive. Yeah, I was really surprised that this turned out as well as it did. So yeah, that was the sour cream that I made. To get started with the stroganoff, I diced up some garlic and some onion, and then what you see here is what was remaining of the package of mushrooms from what I've used for my crispy curry wontons. So it's not quite a whole package, but this was also an interesting recipe for me to choose because I don't actually really like mushrooms that much. Well, I think I like the flavor because I eat mushrooms in a lot of stuff, but I like cannot stand the texture of mushrooms. It creeps me out to no end. So that's why I dice my mushrooms so small. But first I wipe them off. So instead of like rinsing your mushrooms underwater, you just want to wipe them with a paper towel, and that will get the dirt off of them. And then I start slicing them before I dice them real tiny. A couple cloves of garlic, probably like half an onion, and most of a package of mushrooms, all diced up and ready to go into a pan with some olive oil. Yeah, what we're doing here is getting it nice and crispy and caramelized, or you're going to take it and put it into its own little separate container so that you can work on the broth, the base for your stroganoff. So in this pan already, I have my broth, and the proportions are in the recipe below. So I have my broth and I'm adding my sour cream to it, and then I add some soy sauce, Dijon mustard, nutritional yeast, and some fresh thyme from my mom's garden. Isn't it so cute? And then of course salt and pepper. Alright, don't ask me why I'm using a spatula and not a whisk. I don't know, but I just kind of wiggled it around and got all of the sour cream dissolved in it. It looks chunky here, but it actually did all dissolve all the way. So after it's done, you add your mushrooms, onions, and garlic back into it, and this is what you get. I put that into a Tupperware and into the freezer for a week. And then once it was the week to cook it and eat it, I actually took it out of the freezer and made my noodles. I'd never seen whole wheat egg noodles before in my life. I was really surprised when I went to Walmart and saw those. I had to get them, obviously. Whole wheat egg noodles? What? Boiled that with some salt. Once it was cooked, I drained it and added some olive oil to it. This is what my mushroom stroganoff looked like after a week. So it was pretty liquidy. I wanted to thicken it a bit, so I made a quick roux with some oil and flour. Don't judge me. I know my proportions were not right there, but it did its job. It still thickened it. But yeah, so I just added my mushroom stroganoff into the flour and oil and let it thicken. You can see it thickened nicely. And I added my noodles into it. And y'all, this was so fire. Especially for someone who doesn't like mushrooms. Good. It was creamy, it was delicious, and it had the mushroom with caramelized mushroom bits in it. It was really tasty. I'm really happy with this. I will make this again. Okay, for the tofu Sammies, I added a block and a half of tofu and some almond milk. Again, the recipe will be linked below for proportions. I don't measure anything though, so I just poured it till it looked right. And then for the seasonings, I added onion powder, garlic powder, turmeric, salt, pepper. It was hard to grind it, so while I was recording, and I gave it a blend. Don't be like me, add your nutritional yeast at this point. I just forgot, so when I tasted it and it was super bland, I was like, what? And I started adding a bunch of stuff like hot sauce, which I think I'm gonna keep doing. It was pretty good. And then I added more pepper, I added more turmeric, and then I remembered that I forgot my nutritional yeast, so I added a bunch of that as well. Poured it into its Tupperware and popped it in the freezer. Super easy recipe, super easy. So for my side, I just roughly chopped some garlic and added the butternut squash that I made the week before. Then I added a bag of spinach on top. The only thing I added to this was salt, pepper, and some cracked red pepper. That pan was probably a little too small, but you know, we make things work around here. After the spinach had wilted down, I went ahead and added it to my Tupperware, and that was my side that I was going to eat with my tofu Sammies. This is what my tofu Sammy mixture looked like after it was in the freezer. This did get a little watery, but it actually looks more like eggs now than it did when I put it in the freezer, so I'll take it. So what you're going to do for this is add a generous amount of olive oil to your pan, and then you're going to spoon your mixture of tofu Sammy mixture into the pan. I stopped making this recipe for years because I could never get it right. I would try to flip it and it would just be mush. It felt like it would never harden. So what I need you to do if you recreate this recipe is be patient. You're going to think your Sammy is ready to flip. You're going to see that it gets brown and crispy on the edges. All the water is going to be absorbed and you're going to be like, surely it is time to flip it. Don't flip it. Don't do it. Wait until it looks burnt and you're cursing me out because I steered you in the wrong direction. Like, wait until you get to that point and then flip it. This is what you want, and it's going to actually flip in one piece. It's not going to be dry. It's going to be good because you don't actually need to cook the other side. You just need to flip it, and look how good that looks. Flip it, put your cheese down, and then take it off the heat. Put it on your bread, make your little sandwich, and you're done. That's it. So this is what you end up with, and doesn't that look like an egg sandwich, y'all? So I kind of made mine more savory. I added lettuce, avocado, and barbecue sauce, and it was good. I didn't really want like a breakfast sandwich. I wanted it to feel like it was for lunch. So yeah, that's what I added with my side of butternut squash. And then I already showed you for my snack, I had popcorn this week. So all the two meals that I prepared this week were very, very, very easy. They were both very freezer friendly, so if you're looking for those options, these are great ones to check out. But yeah, this was all really tasty. I also enjoyed the butternut squash. That was a really simple side to put together. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Please be sure to give this a big old thumbs up. Be sure to comment down below what else you want to see from me, or if you have tried any of these recipes. Where are you at on your plant-based journey? Are you on one at all? Let me know. I'm interested. Please be sure to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.